Every day, you and I get bombarded with negative news. And just like our bodies becomes what we eat, our minds become the information that we consume. If you want to stay positive, it's so important that you also listen to stories that inspires you and uplifts you. In this podcast, we interview world-leading experts dedicated to solving the world's most pressing problems. And if you stick around, I promise you will not only be as informed as if you watch the news, you will feel uplifted, inspired, and have more positive energy in your life. Welcome to Great.com Talks with. Hi and welcome. Today, Great.com talks with Steve Colon, who is the CEO of Bottom Line. And if you haven't heard of them before, Bottom Line is an organization that helps students from low-income backgrounds to get into college, graduate, and to go far in life. And if you're new here into this podcast, you definitely want to press subscribe, either on YouTube or in your podcast app, because today we're going to talk about how we can get more students into college. So, Steve, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me, and really excited to be here today.
That's great. So how would you describe Bottom Line to someone that is not familiar with your organization?
So I usually start with a little bit of history on me. So my parents were both born in Puerto Rico, and I was in the first in my family to actually earn a college degree. And like many other students of color, particularly those from first-generation backgrounds, my path to a degree was littered with lots of complex processes, hugely consequential choices that need to be made, impossible financial obligations, and institutions that were agnostic at best, but sometimes openly hostile to me being successful. And so while I had people who cared about me and wanted me to be successful, none of them really had the expertise to help me make well-informed choices. And so I made a mountain of bad decisions, many of which I'm still paying for today. And I tell this story because my story is not unique. And actually, I had privileges along my journey that many of the students that we serve in Bottom Line actually don't have access to. In fact, most students, Black and brown students are disproportionately impacted by historical inequality, both in society and in higher ed. And many of them are facing that because that's a direct result of systemic racism. So this means that while talent and potential are randomly distributed, opportunity is not. A truth that goes against what we value as a country. And so the result is often significant disparities in college enrollment and graduation rates inside of these communities versus some of their white and more affluent peers. And so when I talk about Bottom Line, I talk about Bottom Line in that section, right? The need for students to have knowledgeable advocates who recognize and see the potential of those students to help them really navigate all of the pitfalls along their way to and through college. And that's really what we've been doing for 25 years. We have been a relentless ally for students, and we partner them with consistent, caring, knowledgeable advisors who can be a guide and support to them as they make their way towards their personal aspirations.
Beautiful. It really landed what you said. Talent is distributed equally, but opportunity is not. And it's kind of hard to put myself into that situation. I'm, spoiled to be born in country as Sweden, a country where university is free. But I want to know more about the differences in how hard it is to get into college. But first, I want to know, and thank you for sharing your story because it highlights the problem. So what would you have needed, do you think, by counselors, or what kind of support would you have needed that you didn't get?
Yeah, I think what I needed most of all was, I had people who believed in me. I needed someone who both believed in me and wanted to have a deep, meaningful relationship with me, but also had enough information and process knowledge to help inform those critical decisions, right? And so, I would have needed better access to school counselors, which I didn't have, and which many of the students we serve don't have great ready access to a school counselor to help them do this process. I would have wanted the ability to find more affordable college options. As you said, in America, in the United States, college is not free, and it's actually very, very expensive. And so helping students find a place where they can both be successful and afford in a real way is the help I needed. And because I didn't have those two things, I made bad decisions. I wasted money putting down payments on a college that I didn't go to, right? Hundreds of and thousands of dollars. I accrued lots of debt, which I'm still paying. And so what I needed most of all was someone who knew me well enough to know what my dreams were and who could bring the most important information to me at these moments of great decision, right? Of great choices, to be able to help me make the most informed decision I could make along my pathway.
It's so needed. You're so young, and your intention was so pure. Like, you wanted to create something good for yourself, for your community, and you're not mature enough to make those kind of decisions. So yeah. It really warms my heart to hear that you guys are taking that counselor role for other students now. So is that kind of the core of what you guys are doing, to give that kind of encouragement and information, or is there other parts of what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think of bottom line, we sort of three core aspects in our model. The first is, as you said, it's like authentic relationships. How do we create a meaningful relationship with a student? Because that's the heartbeat of our program. And we know that success starts between the student and a highly trained professional advisor who's there to be a real ally for that student on their path. I think the second thing is, data-driven, personalized guidance. All students deserve the best advice to help guide them towards their personal goals. And so when we combine this deep insights that we have on our students, because we know them so well, with the 20 plus years of informed data on the success that we've had across our network, we're able to determine not only what students require to be successful, but we can then track them along their progress towards important milestones. And then I think the last thing that sort of really focuses bottom line is, we are really intentional about wanting to help change and increase social and economic mobility. Our model is grounded in a belief that there's a transformative power in a college degree and a mobilizing first job. And so we help our students not only focus while they're in college on, making good progress to that college degree, but we constantly are helping them make informed decisions around their finances and how they continue to afford college, but also strengthening their career readiness.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. That information is highly needed. The basis of financial understanding and intelligence can remove so much suffering. So are you guys doing that in one-on-one sessions then, or do you teach online? Do you how is it working?
Well, pre-pandemic, we were face-to-face. So we provide one-on-one guidance. We match a single advisor with a single student, and that power of that relationship is valuable. And prior to the pandemic, that was done in person. When we work with students in high school, the students come to us in one of our offices and we have that conversation. When a student goes off to college, we actually send our advisors to those colleges to sit with those students and have these really critical conversations and help them along their path. Since the pandemic has happened, we have transitioned all of that work to be distance, virtual, on things like Zoom and other technologies. And we assume that once we're able to address the pandemic, the health concerns of the pandemic, that will probably always be in a blended model, some face-to-face, some virtual, because we want to be able to help students as they need us and as we know they need support along their path.
I can imagine that. That also, to do it in more of a group setting as well, I guess many of the students have similar questions, and also they see that, it's not only me that wants to overcome these challenges and create something new.
Yeah, no, we do provide opportunities to do some group work. So often, particularly in the work we do around career readiness, often we bring groups together to do resume writing workshops or mock interviews. We have great volunteers and partners who come in and will do mock interviews with our students or do informational interviews on different careers. So we try to create the best connections for them, both in a group setting and individually. But we know that this is personal, right? When I was going through school, when you were going through school, there were things that we don't want to say in front of other people. There are fears, concerns we have that we're afraid to talk about, right? I was a lost textbook at times away from failing a class because I couldn't afford to buy a new one, right? Or it'd be really difficult for me to do that. Many of our students are facing similar, financial constraints. And so often that personal one-on-one allows for more of a robust, authentic conversation to really get to the bottom of what's going to be helpful for that student. So finding that right balance between that personal moment where you can be intentional and demonstrate mindfulness in that relationship, as well as going wide when you're sharing information, and finding the right balance there is super important.
Yeah, I can see that. And I can see, it makes a lot of sense, how vulnerable it is for a student to come and ask for help and maybe share their doubts or their what they dream of accomplishing. So to have someone that is, sensitive to that and also believes in them, I can really see how that is important. And maybe that's not something a lot of these students have experienced so much of before.
Yeah, and I'll say, for me, and I think it's true of many of our students, often just fitting in on a college campus is really difficult because, we're going to a college campus that more than likely doesn't reflect the diversity of the communities we came from. We may be one of very few Latinx folks or Black folks on that campus from a percentage standpoint, and we may have a tough time fitting in and feeling like we belong. That's not everybody, but some people go through those very personal things, right? And so having an advisor who can not only help you talk about those things, but really help give you strategies for how to address those both personal and academic issues that are impacting the way you are experiencing college is critical.
Yeah, I can imagine. And also having a grown-up role model / mentor, I think all young people should. I didn't have. I think it was one of my pain points, even though I lived a privileged life. I would have needed someone that is not my family as well, that is objective.
Well, that's the truth of life, isn't it? Right? The truth of life is, while it is sometimes possible to do things on your own, why would you ever want to? Right? That the great things in life that you accomplish in partnership with people who care about you, for you. When our students graduate from college and we have these graduation ceremonies with them and they talk about their experience, they're thanking their whole community around them, right? Their family members, their friends, their advisors. They have love and appreciation for the people who supported them emotionally, financially, right? Academically, like they see that need. And so as we think about how to help a student be successful, how to help every student be successful, right? That like no one should have to go through as many of these big consequential decisions without support, without help. It just doesn't make sense. Yeah, particularly when you're 18 years old.
When you're so young as well. I was an idiot when I was 18. Don't let me make any decisions.
Yes, indeed. We all are, right? We all are. We lack experience, right? Yeah. And experience is such a great teacher. And that's part of what our advisors bring.
Yeah, I really get that. So what do you see, what kind of results do you see then? You spoke about a random control trial you did on your website, but what do you see is happening to the students when, is there maybe a difference in their attitude when they completed college, or what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, what I'll say is bottom line's model is best in class. And we have the data and the evidence to back that statement up. That isn't just me as CEO trying to do a sell job, but we have actually seen years and decades of significant success. Our students are much more likely than their peers to earn a bachelor's degree in 6 years or less. And that's even at the same college, when those peers are attending the same college. So we're seeing an uplift, an increase on the likelihood that you will graduate in between 4 and 6 years, between 15 percentage points in some places, right? And so for us, that's huge. Overwhelmingly, the majority of our students when they graduate with less than $31,000 worth of debt, which I would have loved if I was able to do that for myself. But it's such a huge thing to not have to start your life off with this huge debt load that's sitting on top of you. So graduating on time, getting out with limited debt is huge. We also see that most of our students within 6 months of when they graduate are either employed in a great first job or in graduate school. So they're going on to do bigger things. They're on to sort of move their life in the right directions. And one of the things I've been talking about recently is in some of our recent cohorts, we're starting to see that the starting salaries for our graduates in their first jobs are almost twice what their family income was when they started with us. So like, and these are not our results. These are our students' results that we partner with them on, right? So, but it starts with getting that degree on time, getting that degree, getting out with limited amount of debt so that you can start your life and move forward without having that burden on top of you.
I can just imagine the kind of difference it makes in people's life. Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
I don't wish on anyone.
No,
I'm sorry,
still paying my school loans off. So
I feel for you. So imagine someone listening to this also feeling for you, your story, and the thousands of other people that share your story, and they want to do something. They want to take some kind of positive action to help young people to make better decisions and get into college. What can they do to help out?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, we are always looking for allies in this work. And so, you can go to bottomline.org. We have a little tab there that says click to get involved. And there are a number of ways that you can get involved. We have volunteer activities that you can participate in. There's ways to get not only you involved, but maybe your employer and your company involved in volunteer activities. Obviously, we're always looking for resources to help pay for the work that we do as an organization. So we have, many great allies who help by really aligning their desires with us and donating to the work that we do to help us be able to do that. There's ways that you can follow us on social media. You can volunteer to be somebody who helps give a student a mock interview or reviews a resume, or you can be somebody who gets more involved in that process in different ways. So I would say go to bottomline.org, click the Get Involved tab, and there's a multitude of ways there for you to get involved. But I would say even in your own community, look for other organizations that are doing this work. I know I'm here to talk about Bottom Line, but I'm so passionate about helping students find their success that I want people to get involved in this work, even if it's not with Bottom Line. It is so critical to be a positive force in students' lives as they're trying to traverse their way to a degree, particularly students of color, particularly students who come from low-income communities, who come from, who are the first in their family to go to college. There's so much that we could be doing in support of them. So I just eagerly want everyone to get involved.
Beautiful. You have touched me with your passion, and I'm sure that's true for everyone listening. I don't think we said it yet, but which communities are you working in?
Sure. So
physically?
we're currently working with 7,000 students across 3 regions. We're in Massachusetts, New York City, and then Chicago. And so that's the work that we're currently doing, but we're always looking to grow. We know that, the reality is that many more students could benefit from programs like Bottom Line than we're able to serve right now. And so we're constantly looking at ways to grow, not just from where Bottom Line is, but also ways on how technology can help us traverse distance in new and different ways.
Stephen, I appreciate the work that you do, your presence, your energy, and for taking the time to guest our podcast today. I feel injected with optimism and care. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me and for allowing us to talk a little bit about not just Bottom Line, but our amazing students.
Thank you. And for you listening, if you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, press subscribe on YouTube or in your podcast app, because that is showing the algorithms that this is an important conversation, so more people can learn about what they can do to help students make better decisions and create a brighter future. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. What is Great.com? That is the most common question that we get. And the shortest answer I can give you is that we are a company that is moving money from the online casino industry and donates it to charities that is helping the environment. The long answer, unfortunately, I don't have time to tell you today. But if you're curious, definitely Google whatisgreat.com to learn more.